SWS के नाटू सीरीज में आपका स्वागत है. You're watching your own digital classroom study with Sudhir, and we in this video are going to discuss Treasure Trove Stories video number 2. I hope you have already seen the first video in which we discussed 25-26 odd MCQs, and along with that gave explanation and basically gave you tips on how to approach Treasure Trove textbook as far as your English literature examination, board examination is concerned. Now, in this video, we are going to look at another 25-26 odd MCQs. But before that, दबाया या नहीं, फ्रेंड्स के साथ शेयर किया या नहीं, लाइक बटन दबाया या नहीं. तो आई एम नॉट, लेट मी बी ऑनेस्ट, आई एम नॉट सो पर्टिकुलर कि इतने लाइक्स चाहिए. मुझे इन सब चीजों से फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. ओके, दोस आर, I really don't care too much about it, but it's a good feeling if there is a significant number of likes, because that kind of indicates that you gained something from this video. That's all, nothing more than that. Okay, so along with English literature, you already have history, civics, English language का तो already आपने use कर लिया होगा, and the other subjects will also follow. So Naatu-Naatu series will continue to dance till the 29th of March for you guys. Okay, right. Let's start with the Treasure Trove Stories MCQs video number 2. You can infer that the children feel ashamed after they come back inside because this is from All Summer in a Day, look down at their feet and hands, close the door on the falling rain. Their faces are red because of the glow of the sun, which they have experienced for an hour, right? If you have not read the text very carefully, you are likely to get confused out here. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because close the door, they're ashamed. It's quite possible. Or there could have been a fourth option where you could have said that, that they suddenly remembered that they had closed, shut the closet. They had kind of locked Margaret inside the closet, right? But let's look at the text. Let's look at what exactly does the text say. The last page of your textbook, they stood as if someone had driven them like so many stakes into the floor. They looked at each other. They looked at each other and then looked away. They glanced out at the world that was raining now and raining steadily. They could not meet each other's glances. So they are feeling embarrassed. They are feeling ashamed of what they have done. Their faces were solemn and pale. They looked at their hands and feet, their faces down. This is the operative part. Okay, and that's what has been taken. So MCQs will essentially look at factual details, especially in stories like All Summer in a Day, The Blue Bead, to an extent even The Little Match Girl. They will look at factual details and try to test how well you have read the textbook and how well you remember and recall all these factual details. So, A, look down at their feet and hands. In what state of mind were the children on seeing the sun? Were they agitated? Were they ecstatic? Were they puzzled? Now, these three words, adjectives, are in a sense close to each other. Okay, they're kind of overlapping, though they have distinct meanings, but they have kind of overlapping meanings. Puzzled means a state of confusion. Now, that also could be possible because they have never experienced the sun before, right? So there could be a sense of amazement, puzzlement. Ecstatic means complete excitement, right? Agitated means, they are kind of, full of energy and a little bit of, not exactly anger, but there is a sense of, they're worked up about something, right? But the correct option here is ecstatic because they were really excited. And that's how they ran into the open from inside the underground classroom. The next question is yet another one where you need to have read the text carefully. Why are all the characters on Venus? For what reason were all of them there? To raise children on Venus, to research on the rain, or to set up civilization? Now, again, here you ought to have read the text very carefully. What does the text say? The text says, this was the schoolroom of the children of the rocket men and women who had come to a reigning world to set up civilization and live out their lives. So, the operative word is to set up civilization. So, you need to be, even if there are other options which seem close, always choose the option which are using the words used by the particular author. Remember this. Okay. So option number C. She was an old photograph dusted from an album. What is the figure of speech which has been used here? Simile, there is no as or like out here. So not a simile, not a hyperbole, and metaphor. Metaphor is the right one. Basically, her physical appearance. Okay, Margaret's physical appearance has been compared to an old photograph which has become very pale. The closet is an symbol of anticipation, fun and frolic for the children, or tyranny of the majority. Tyranny of the majority, because all of them, in a mob-like fashion, they decide to lock her inside the closet. The crocodile had swallowed a silver anklet, silver chain. Now, आपको याद होगा silver तो था, अरे कम्बख्त anklet था, chain था या bracelet था. The correct option is C, silver bracelet. I want to tell you out here that if you are looking for more practice of MCQs, look at the SWS English Literature Test Series, right? If you are, which has chapter wise and a few, I think, combined, both MOV and Treasure Trove poems and stories. It also contains subjective questions and answers so that you know exactly how to approach and write a quality question and answer, right? शुरू के questions में कैसे लिखने चाहिए, which are direct questions, the longer format subjective, especially the last 4-mark question, how you should kind of give some kind of a critical analysis within that 4-mark answer, all that is there. So please go and have a look at the English literature का test series which is there on the SWS app. उसके अलावा यहाँ पर काफी सारे हैं. Part of the Naatu-Naatu series. Last year also I had done semester 1 and 2 के पहले भी there are some videos. So you'll find some more questions there. So at different places on SWS. This year Naatu-Naatu series. Last year before Sem 1 and Sem 2. And on the SWS app. ये तीनों कर लीजिए. आपका पूरा रिवीजन, पूरा टेस्टिंग कंप्लीटली हो जाएगा. गारंटी देता हूं. Sibia lingered behind after the other women had left because she wanted to check on her clay clubs. She wanted to chat with the Gujar women. She was a lonely child woman. Pretty simple. Option A. After helping the Gujar woman, what did Sibia not go back for? Now here I have seen this going wrong with many students. Okay. Blue bead, sickle, grass, or fork. Please look at what does the text say. Okay, and this is important. Okay, because I saw this in a pre-board examination where the options itself are not correct. The line on page number 101 says, then Sibia went back for her grass after having killed the crocodile, right? After having killed the crocodile, Sibia went back for her grass and sickle and fork. So she went back for D, she went back for C, she went back for B. She found the blue bead almost by accident because immediately in the next paragraph, if you read, it says the fork was lying in the river, not carried away luckily, and as she bent, listen to this, and as she bent to pick it up out of the water, she saw the blue bead. So it was not something which she had gone back for, she happened to find it incidentally. So always remember these minute details of any story. Sibia was unable to make the necklace this year as the family needle was broken, the family needle was lost, or the family needle was stolen. What was it? We do know it was about the family needle, but what had really happened to the family needle? The family needle, the line says, was snapped. Snapped ka matlab kya hai? Broken. So option A. Snapped is the word which has been used by the author. Its closest meaning is not stolen or lost, but it is broken. Why did Sibia, her mother, and other women go to the cliffs above the river to fetch water, to cut paper grass, to collect sticks? The correct option is B, paper grass. In last year's MCQs, etc., I remember giving some MCQs, preparing some MCQs revolving around that agent, etc. Right? If you look at those MCQs, I've tried not to repeat it. It would have been the easiest thing. अरे वो कौन देखने वाला है? वही वीडियोस को यहाँ डाल दो. उस तरह का काम, चीटिंग का काम हम नहीं करते हैं. We have tried to create this. हो सकता है उसमें से रिपीट हो unconsciously because I have not gone back and looked at those question answers again. But मुझे याद था वो पेपर एजेंट के बारे में मैंने लास्ट टाइम किया था. So this time I have not included any question around that. Please go and have a look at it. I guess there would be some in our MCQs also. Again, something which I have not gone back and looked at because उसमें almost 40 questions are there, if I'm not mistaken, just on the chapter. The crocodile rested in the shallows among logs, sandbanks, or flycatchers. The correct option is A, logs. What adjectives are not used for the crocodile? Ferocious and formidable, first page of the Blue Beach chapter. Prehistoric juggernaut, herbivore and irresistible. The only adjective which has not been used for the crocodile is herbivore, right? So option C. Something must be eating you. What does this mean? This is from the greatest Olympic prize, my greatest Olympic prize. Something must be eating you. What does this mean? Jesse Owens was hungry. Eating, hungry. Jesse Owens was injured. Jesse Owens was disturbed. So eating means that something is consuming him in the sense that, अंदर से कुछ खा रहा है उसको, that something is really disturbing him. So that is the correct option. So eating का उस तरह का words आपको पूछा जा सकता है. What could be the thing? So words like, consuming him, he was disturbed, not annoyed or frustrated really, but something with which he's not, it has kind of upset him in some way or the other. Jesse Owens says that an dash athlete will make mistakes. Now, again, this is a direct quote from the text itself. So, what would it mean? Annoyed, dismayed, or angry. Which is the right option? The correct option is C, which is angry. Right? I hope you got it right. What was the reaction of Hitler on seeing Lutz Long shake hands with Jesse Owens? Indifferent, surprised, or angry? इन तीनों में से कोई भी एडजेक्टिव का इस्तेमाल जेसी ओवेंस ने इस चैप्टर में नहीं किया है. Indifferent? Was he indifferent? No, he was looking at him. Was he surprised? He may have been surprised, but the adjective which has been used, the verb which has been used by Jesse Owens does not indicate an element of total surprise. I mean, that's not what it really conveys. Angry? Yes. If you recall, what does the text say? The word that has been used is glared. Glared मतलब घूरना. घूरोगे किसी को तो लगेगा कि गुस्से में हो, है ना? So the closest and the most appropriate option is angry. Agree? Agree करते हो तो agree लिखो. आते जाते खूबसूरत आवारा सड़कों पे कभी कभी इत्तेफाक से पढ़ो. No one was prepared to take Maggie's responsibility because she was sick and helpless. She was a spoilt child. She was not good looking. Now, listen to this carefully. One of the neighbors actually uses the word brat for her. In fact, later on, even Mrs. Thompson uses a similar kind of a word. Let's look at the text. When in confusion, look at the text. Now, she says, you haven't brought home that sick brat. Go back. One of the neighbors says, for your child or mine, said the other, lightly speaking, but for this brat. So, आप सोचेंगे, हाँ, brat मतलब spoiled child, B होगा. But that was not the reason why they did not want to take her. They did not want to take her because she was sick and helpless and would need help all the time. So, more than B, it is the A which is the more dominant reason why no one wanted to take responsibility of Maggie. Correct? Agree? Option A. As part of his profession, Joe Thompson was nice to the managers of the poorhouse, his neighbors, or children. Who was he nice to? The correct option is C. Why? Because text mein likha hai that Joe Thompson, the wheelwright, had a heart and it was very tender in some places. He liked children and was pleased to have them come to his shop where sleds and wagons were made or mended for the village lads without a draft on their hoarded sixpences. So he would kind of do it for free for the children. So he obviously liked children. Option C. What does hovel mean? Now, this is a word meaning. Small, squalid dwelling. Was it a burial place or was it the poorhouse? The correct option is A. A small, squalid kind of a very tiny kind of a dwelling. Maggie's sweetness was like dash to Mrs. Thompson's soul. Again, quoting directly from the text, the last paragraph of this chapter. That's where I have taken this from. Vinegar, honey, sunshine. It says, the sweetness of that sick child looking ever to her in love. The last paragraph को जरा ध्यान से पढ़ना और उसमें जो keywords हैं उसको underline जरूर करना और ये काम आएगा not only in MCQs questions like this, it will also come in handy for writing including in your subjective answers, especially the last 4 mark question में जब किसी तरह का critical appreciation, critical analysis करना हो तो उसमें यहाँ के keywords आपको काफी यूज करने के लिए फायदेमंद रहेंगे. Okay, so the sweetness of that sick child looking ever to her in love, patience and gratitude was as honey to her soul. So the correct option is B, honey to her soul. Death touches the spring of our common humanity. Identify the figure of speech. Metaphor, oxymoron, or is it a simile? Wait, I'm waiting for you to say. The correct option is oxymoron. Now, why is it an oxymoron? I've written an entire note for you out here. Because many students keep asking me the meaning of this particular sentence. Death and spring are contradictory to each other. Agree? Yes or no? Death is the end of life, while spring conveys rejuvenation, a new life. Spring के महीने में क्या होता है? नए पत्ते आते हैं, नए फूल आते हैं, right? So there is new life which takes place. T.S. Arthur wants to say that during her life, the woman was insulted, shunned, humiliated, etc. But her death brought out the feelings of, empathy, pity, sympathy for the 3 children because now they had been left orphaned. So what happened is that as a result, death touches the spring of our common humanity. Because of the death of the woman, it touched the spring because it is from the spring that you come out and common humanity is born. Till such time that she was alive, they used to shun her because she was a drunkard. She was an irresponsible mother. At least that's what they thought. So after her death, because of the circumstances in which the 3 orphans found themselves, it touched the common humanity of the neighbors. The spring came from there. That's what you need to explain in your... So if this kind of a question comes, point out that it's an oxymoron and give this kind of a detailed explanation as to what exactly it is. Okay? तो हम MCQ के साथ साथ subjective questions को भी tackle कर लेते हैं. How did the little girl's grandmother, little match girl, how did the little girl's grandmother appear to her when she lit all her matches? Again, you need to know the text very carefully because this is a direct quote from the text. Like a queen in all her glory, so beautiful and so stately, very loving and affectionate. Now you may think that, अरे ये तो तीनों के तीनों फिट हो रहे हैं, लेकिन हैंस एंडरसन ने क्या लिखा है बाबू, उस पर ध्यान देना पड़ेगा. और हैंस एंडरसन ने लिखा था that the matches flared up with such a blaze that it was brighter than broad sunlight, and her old grandmother had never seemed so beautiful or so stately before. Option B. B for Bhubaneswar. 22nd. In all likelihood, the story was set in a city in Britain, in Holland, in Denmark. Now, the city is not named. द मैच गर्ल इज नॉट नेम, वी डू नॉट नो। तो ये क्वेश्चन क्यों पूछा जा रहा है? क्वेश्चन में क्या लिखा है? इन ऑल लाइकलीहुड, मोर लाइकली, ये कहां पे हो सकता था? तो इसलिए आपको वो जो पैसेज आता है बॉक्स बिफोर द स्टोरी, उसको पढ़ने की भी जरूरत है। बिकॉज अगर आप उस पैसेज को पढ़ेंगे तो उसमें आप पाएंगे कि पहली लाइन में आपको यह बताया गया है कि हैंस क्रिस्टियन एंडरसन वॉज ए डैनिश राइटर बेस्ट नोन फॉर हिज फेरी टेल्स। सो ब्रिटेन नहीं हो सकता, हॉलैंड नहीं हो सकता, डच होता तो हॉलैंड होता, डेनमार्क। ओके, द लिटिल मैच गर्ल कैन बी डिस्क्राइब्ड एज, अभी भी मैंने बताया, ये भी बॉक्स में पढ़ना था, फेरी टेल। ओके, द एरोमेटिक स्मेल ऑफ डैश लिंगर्ड इन द एयर, वॉज इट रोस्ट गूस, रोस्ट टर्की और रोस्ट चिकन? विच वन वॉज इट? द करेक्ट ऑप्शन इज ए, roast goose. Farthing in the little match girl story refers to what? Being far from home, farthing, far from home, large sum of money or least sum of money. So what exactly it is? The correct option is the least sum of money. With this, we come to the end of the video on Treasure Trove Stories video number 2. So 50 यहां पर कर दिए हैं। As I said, पिछले साल के भी आप देख सकते हैं और उससे भी ज्यादा हैं SWS के पेपर्स में, which is very good. Okay, so I would strongly recommend you to have a look at it for final last minute practice before your English literature exam. All the best to you. May all of you do exceedingly well. आके बताना कैसा गया. Thank you very much. God bless you. Tata. Bye bye.